Margaret Sinclair, An Engagement. Father, is it a sin to break an engagement? All depends, answered the priest wistfully, as he looked at this young working girl of about 21, in modest, neat attire, of dignified composure, with refined features, fair complexion, and clear grey eyes filled with tears. Though emaciated and distressed, there was no sign of any passionate excitement in her words and carriage as she waited for the priest's answer. Just tell me everything, and then I shall explain to you. Of course, the law of the Church is that even those who have made a formal engagement in writing before the priest and 2 witnesses are not bound to marry, but only to pay damages if there are any. The girl took courage and told the priest how she had been introduced to a young man about 2.5 years back by a neighbour of theirs, now staying at Bowness. This young man had just come back from the army and had not been to his religious duties for a long time. He had not been attending Mass, nor saying any prayers. Moreover, he was staying with an aunt who had practically given up her faith to keep peace with her husband, a bitter Protestant. Margaret, therefore, had felt very anxious about him. She made him go to Mass and benediction with her and her sister that day, and she made him promise to go to confession that very week. Later on, she persuaded him to leave his apostate aunt altogether. The young man could not resist such a girl so full of faith, as he explained to the priest later on. She spoke to him of wisdom and urged him to pray for this true wisdom from heaven, which measures all things by the standards of eternity. The parish priest at Bowness was astonished to see him going regularly to confession and Holy Communion, and using his beads and prayer book devoutly. She must be a very good girl to make Pete go to Mass, remarked the parish priest. In truth, Pete had become a changed man. He was now a knight of the Blessed Sacrament, fervently enrolling others to the same life of personal love and service of our blessed Lord in the most holy sacrament of the altar. Naturally, he sought eagerly the friendship of this attractive and wonderful girl, full of faith. He would call at her house in 13 Blackfriars Street, Edinburgh, and take her sister and herself on the tramway to the terminus for a little stroll on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and would be back in time for tea with her father and mother and the whole family. Pete had become a family friend, for he was now a good lad, and Margaret's parents would not allow any but good Catholics to frequent their home. This continued for about 2 years. When Margaret's birthday was drawing near, he asked her whether she would be his wife, and she said she did not want to marry. She did not care for him so much as to marry him. He asked her for reasons, and she could give him none other than that she did not want to marry. He expostulated. His life would be broken. He would go bad again. He would be driven to despair, worse than he had been when they first met him. He recalled her wonderful influence over him, his promises to her, and the faithfulness with which he had kept up his religious duties. Surely there should be no reason why she should refuse. He would tell her father and mother, and would she not abide by their decision? She agreed. In her heart she made her prayer. If it is necessary that I should make the sacrifice, I will, dear Jesus. The father and mother were delighted with the prospect of a smart lad and good and a respectable and steady worker. Margaret told them she did not care for him, and she did not want to marry. The mother overruled all. She would soon change her mind. She will have to marry sooner or later, and she may not find such a good lad. it may be the means of saving his soul. So, on the 29th of March, 1921, Margaret's 21st birthday, she was given the engagement ring and a gold watch, while she prayed in her heart, "Dear Jesus, if you want me to marry him, you will have to make me love him, for I do not." Nearly another year dragged by for Margaret. The thought of having to go out with Pete made her shiver. Still, she went with her usual smile. She told her mother, "I would rather make the sacrifice than lose his soul," and she meant to keep her word. Still, the father was not quite happy over the affair. He had comforted himself with the thought that as time went by, Margaret would change her mind. She would love him. Alas, a year had elapsed, and she was still the same. She had told Pete that she still did not want to marry. Though everything was being prepared for the wedding, she kept his savings. She had agreed that the house he was getting was suitable, even though the furniture was not altogether to her taste. One day the father said to her, "Margaret, I cannot bear to see you so cold and miserable sitting near him. If you do not want him, tell him plainly, for it makes me ashamed of myself." Poor Margaret had told him more than once, but he had pleaded in dismay and broken-heartedness. She gave him back the watch and the money and the ring, but Pete could not understand. "I do not know why she left me. We never quarrelled, and even up till now I was expecting her to come back to me." Meanwhile, a voice within her urged her, "You must do something. You cannot go on like this any longer." She went to the priest, and peace came to her soul, for the priest explained to her that what she had done for Pete was a great act of charity. She had been a true friend to him, and he ought to be grateful, but she was by no means bound to marry him. Compassion and charity are not the same as that personal affection which is necessary for the state of marriage. However, seeing her so young, the priest said that she should reconsider her decision before rejecting the other, lest she might regret it later on. "Oh no, father, I do not want to marry," was her prompt reply. "God bless you, child," answered the priest, struck by her nobility of soul and that radiance of face which bespoke intimate peace and the joy of Christ. "Dear Patrick, time changes all things on this earth, so if you pay attention to that first line, you will not think so much of the following. I must tell you, I am still of the same opinion as Sunday. I really wish to break with it, because I know I do not care for you. You understand, when we first met, it was so different because the circumstances made it so. I was rather moved by your position then, as it was not the best. I done what God inspired me to do, to help you the little I could to regain the light. From that moment, God and his blessed Mother must have showered down their blessing on you, because you have remained steadfast since. And I trust in God that you will continue doing so, because you know he is the only real happiness. You will like enough say, "Patrick, why did I not break before this?" But you will recollect a year ago I wrote a similar letter to this, but when you came you implored of me not to. I must be rather chicken-hearted because I agreed, but I feel I cannot let it go on any longer. Perhaps you will be hurt at me saying this, Patrick, but if you take a broad view of this, you will see it is better now than after. From Margaret Sinclair. P.S. I do not wish a reply. Pete was hurt this time, or perhaps he realized that Margaret was quite determined, and packing together all her letters and presents of beads, prayer book, etc., he sent them to her home. Margaret quietly remarked that he need not have sent her letters back, for there was nothing in them but good advice for his soul. As a matter of fact, the mother told the priest afterwards that they read these letters together that evening, as they all sat round the fire. They were full of devotion and spiritual advice, and all were burnt except the one reproduced above. Pete never called again at Blackfriars Street while Margaret was alive, but since her death he visited the priest to bear a willing testimony to her wonderful faith, purity, and holiness. He never dared to use the least familiarity with her,